Recording started.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Jacqueline from Cisco Meeting, please. I shall be the moderator for this conference. Welcome to the session on configuring Oracle Dataguard. A warm welcome to Dinesh Nadar, Senior Administrator. For the duration of the presentation, all participants' lines will be in listen-only mode. I will be standing by for the question and answer session. I would like to hand over the floor to Dinesh. Thank you, and over to you, Dinesh.
Yeah, hi. Thank you, Jacqueline, and good morning, everybody. Here, the session is all about configuring Dataguard. So here we will be setting up a Dataguard physical standby setup in Oracle Database 11g Release 2. So I'll just give a brief introduction. The Oracle Dataguard is nothing but high availability provided by Oracle. So it's a feature that primarily provides database redundancy. This is done by having a standby physical copy database, preferably in another location and on separate disk. This standby database is maintained by applying the changes from the primary database to it. Standby databases can be maintained with either redo, that's what we call the physical standby, or SQL, that's the logical standby. So here we will be doing a physical standby database. So what exactly Dataguard provides us with? So here the Dataguard ensures high availability, data protection, and disaster recovery. So suppose if you are at location A and you also have a location B where you have the standby database setup, if there is some outage or some disaster at location A, you can always switch your connections to location B and your business is running as usual. Dataguard provides a comprehensive set of services that create, maintain, manage, and monitor one or more standby databases to enable production Oracle databases to survive disasters and data corruption. Dataguard maintains this standby database as copy of the production database. It will be a exact copy of the production database. If the production database becomes unavailable at any moment because of any planned or unplanned outage, Dataguard can switch any standby database to a production role, thus minimizing the downtime associated with the outage. So why do we use Dataguard? Each Oracle high availability tool has its purpose. So the reasons why we use Oracle Dataguard for the system are: first is the database redundancy. You can get a fast recovery in case of a failure, ability for clients to automatically reconnect after a failure, ability to offload the backup process to another server. And moreover, this is not so complex to configure Oracle Dataguard. So in this small exercise, I have used Oracle VirtualBox, which is nothing but virtualizing two Oracle databases. So one I have here is the primary. So this server will be working as a primary database over here, and I have the standby. So I have two virtual machines configured on my desktop over here. And I have installed Oracle Enterprise Linux 5.5, and it's a 32-bit version. And the Oracle database which I have used here is Oracle 11g Release 2, and it's again 32-bit. So these softwares can be downloaded at this places. The VirtualBox can be downloaded from virtualbox.org, and as we all know, the Oracle Enterprise Linux and the Oracle 11g database can be downloaded from oracle.com. So now we will begin with primary setup. So here, just to give an overview, I'll be using the primary as called as ORCL, that will be our primary database, and the standby database will be ORCL STBY. And the primary will be configured on the host primary here, so that we are aware which server we are working on. And the standby will be configured on the hosting standby. So to begin with, we will set up the primary database first. So to begin with, the basic stuff which I shouldn't have to mention over here, for any production database, there has to be some basics which has to be there. And the first basic is to run the database in archive log mode. So here I'll just start my So this is my primary database, ORCL. So the database is not started up. I'll just start up the database over here. So here we have the primary database ORCL mounted and open. So the first thing I would like to check is whether the database is in archive log mode or no. So here we can see the database is in no archive log mode. So we will start the database in archive log mode. So we will do a shut immediate. And we will mount the database. And we will bring the database into archive log mode. So here the database is altered. And we open the database over here. And we can check. Okay, so the first basic stuff is you're bringing the database into the archive log mode, and you have done that. So now we will start preparing the primary for the Dataguard setup. So here the physical standby should be the exact copy of the primary database. So here we need to do a force logging to the database, because there can be some instances where you can use no logging clause and there will be no redo generated. So we will do a force logging for whatever transactions we do on the database. So here you can see the database has been force logged. You can just verify. So here you can see the database name is ORCL, and yes, the force logging is enabled. And we will also make sure that whenever we add or drop a data file from our primary database, that those files are also added on the standby. So here we will be just making a small change, and we will be doing the standby file management to auto. So this will ensure that whenever you add or drop a data file on your primary database, that takes effect on your standby also. You need not manually add or drop the data file over there. So once this is done, we will be adding the standby log file. The standby log files are used by the standby database to store the redo it receives from the primary database. So here I will create these on the primary also and on the standby also. I'm creating it on the primary because there can be a switchover, there can be a failover when you have a Oracle Dataguard in place. So once your primary is switched to your standby, so it will be acting as a standby. So once you have your standby redo logs here, so your standby redo logs will receive the redo which it will be receiving from the primary database. So here I will just check. So here we can see there's no standby redo log as of now. So I'll be adding the standby log file. For just our naming convention, I'll be using group 1 so that we get to differentiate 1 to 10 as the redo log and maybe 11 to 20 as the standby redo log over here. And here my redo logs are 50 MB, so I'll be using the same over here. When it comes to the production database, we have huge redo log files. And I'll add one more. So now we can see we have 3 standby log files. And now the next part will be the password file we have to set up. We will have to set up the password file as exclusive or shared so that your password file is used by both the databases over here, the standby as well as the primary. So here the password file is also changed. And the other thing is we have to check the DB unique name. That is one of the most important parameters. So we have the DB unique name set as ORCL. And the next part is we have to keep the flashback on. So whenever there is a failover and your standby is lagging behind, you can just flash back the database. So we'll have a flashback set on over here. You can just verify. So yes, your flashback is set to on. The next thing which you will be doing is you will have to set up the TNS names and the listener. So here we have set the archive log mode, we have post log, we have also changed the standby file management to auto, we have added the standby log file group, we have set the remote login password file to be exclusive, we have the DB unique name which is ORCL, we have set the flashback on, and the next step will be setting up the listener and the TNS names on primary for the primary and standby, and also we will be doing this on the standby database as well. So here, first coming to the primary, here I am using the IP address of both the servers over here. So here the primary database is having the IP address as 192.168.1.4, and I have the standby, and the standby is having 1.5. So here I have already drafted the TNS name for the standby, the TNS name for the primary, also the listener for the primary and listener for the standby. So here the listener here is having the TV name over here, ORCL, and I have also given the Oracle home over here, and this is the host. So the primary is on 1.4. Similarly, we have the listener for standby. So here we have the listener for standby, and I have configured it on 1.5. And the TNS name for primary here, I have put both the databases over here, the ORCL, which is the primary database, and it's on 1.4, and we have the standby database, which is on 1.5, and just make a note, the service names you don't interchange. Your service name should be your DB unique name. So I'll just copy the listener of primary, which I have already drafted it here. And also I'll change the TNS name. So here both the databases are added over here, the ORCL and ORCL STBY, which is nothing but the standby. And the same I'll be doing it on the standby database also. So I'll just verify again. So here we have the primary and the listener over here. The listener is listening on host 1.4 and this is the primary, and the port is 1521, which is the default. And the TNS names is 1.4 for ORCL and 1.5 for the standby. And coming to the standby, so here it's configured 1.4 for the primary, 1.5 for the standby, and the listener is listening on 1.5. So this is the standby database. So now we have done the net configuration, which is nothing but the TNS names and the listener. We will just check the interconnectivity of both of these. So from the standby, you start your listener. And on the standby, you start your listener. So you have both the listeners started up. So you can just check your connectivity. So you can just do a TNS ping for ORCLSTBY. So yes, you got OK. So that means your primary is able to connect to your standby. So the TNS name is working fine here. And let's do it same for the standby. TNS ping ORCL service. So yes, you are OK. So you are able to connect from your primary to standby and standby to primary. So the connection is good to go here. Now coming to the primary, we will be configuring the redo transport. So here we want the databases to talk to each other. So our next step is to ensure that the redo is archived and transported appropriately. So we will configure this on the existing primary and then modify the standby after it is created. And here we will be creating the standby database using the rman duplicate command. So the rman utility will be used over here, and we will duplicate from the primary to the standby database. So To enable archiving of the redo on our primary, we will use this following command over here. Alter system set log archive dest underscore one, and you open the bracket or open the colon. Location is equal to use db colon file test valid for all underscore log files and all underscore rows, and the db unique name will be ORCL. That's the primary. So here the log archive dest 1, which is nothing but the use db recovery file dest. Here we could see that I was using the use db recovery file dest for archiving my archive logs over here. So I'll be using that destination for location, the destination 1. And we will also be setting up the destination 2. So the first statement here says to use the db recovery file dest as the location to archive to. That it should be used to archive all log files in any, means all roles, and that is for the database ORCL, which is nothing but the primary database over here.
Name required.
So now we will also be setting up the dest2, which is nothing but transport of redo to the standby database. So that alter system the destination 2. The destination 2 will be service, not location. And the service which we are using here is ORCL STBY. The same service which I have given in the TNS name file over here, and it will be to the standby database. And here the DB unique name will be ORCL STBY because the standby database is having the unique name ORCL STBY. Seems I have set something wrong over here. Let me check. Set archive log there. Go to oh, thank you. I just messed out equal to version. So we have the log archive destination to also set up over here. We also used to have the standby archive destination parameter, but it's deprecated now, so we are not using it anymore. And the next important parameter which we will be setting up is the file server. The file server will be nothing but the Oracle database which is on the standby. So the file server for primary will be the standby database. So here we will be setting up Oracle. Okay. Server control ORCLS. So here your file server will be ORCLXCBY, and the file client is no more required. It's also deprecated, so we will be not using that parameter over here. And the next one will be to set the log archive config, the DG config, and the DG config will be having the databases involved in the Dataguard. So here alter system set log archive underscore config equal to DG config equal to, and you have ORCL and you have ORCL STBY. So I did not close the code. Okay, so now you are all set for the primary database over here. So we have the primary database set up, and we have the archive log mode which is set up, the post logging is set up, the standby file management is set to auto, the add standby log file root is done, we have set the password file to exclusive, we have the DB unique name set, we have the flashback on, we have the listener and the TMS names configured on the primary and standby for both. And we also have the log archive that's 1 and 2 which is set up, and we also have the file server which is set up over here, and the log archive config. So the next will be, now we'll be setting up the standby database. So here we'll be setting up the standby database with all the data file directories, control file directories, log directories, and the flash recovery area. And we will be using the rman utility to duplicate the primary to standby. So now coming to the primary itself, I will just create a control file, standby control file. So we have the control file which is created for the standby database, and we'll be creating the data file directories, control file directories on the standby. So here I'll create the directory. To just avoid the confusion, I'll be creating the directory ORCL STBY for the standby database so that we can differentiate where the files are going for the standby database over here. So I have created the data file directory over here. I'll also create the flash recovery area for this. Also, I'll create the ADAM directory. Okay, so now I will just SCP the control file which I had created on the primary. So I have the IP address as 192.168.4. Okay, so now we have the control file over here. Since we need two control files to start it, I will just copy this. So now we have the multiplex control file 1 and 2. And now we will be creating the standby parameter file on the primary terminal. And we will SCP that over here to be and keep it here in the temporary location itself. Okay, so now I have the so here I have the parameter file which I have created from the primary. So here we will be making some few changes over here. Here we will be adding the DB unique name. And we have everything else. Okay. Okay, and we will be changing the log archive destination to. For the primary, the log archive destination to unique name was ORCL but for the standby here, it will be the ORCL, which is nothing but the primary. So here I have made two changes. One is the adding of DB unique name ORCL and I have changed the DB unique name to ORCL. And we also need to change this trial server to the primary. And the other thing, yes, I'll be adding 2 more parameters over here. Created a different directory, ORCL STBY for, oh yes, thank you. I did not change the service name over here. I'll change the DB file name. The local listener name should not be required over here. I think we'll see. I think it's not required for setting up the local listener. So here we had it in Aura Data ORCL, and now here we will be having it in Aura Data STBY. So this is the directory change over here. So we'll do a DB file name convert, and also we will be doing a log file name convert. So from Aura Data ORCL, I'll be doing to ORCL STBY. Okay, and the remote login password file is exclusive. Okay, so this is ORCL. So seems to be good. I have also the local listener's name is not required here. Oh yeah, sorry. Here I have changed. I have the parameter over here. STBY. Thank you. Okay, so here we are at the primary database. So here we will be exporting the Oracle SID as ORCL. Okay, I think I missed out the parameter file.